What is up, guys? Frosty 0232 here today for another Frosty Features. This is one of the most Frosty of features because it is Christmas Day 2022, and I hope you all are doing really good. Today we are going over our new character coming to the Rebirth team, coming out on Marvel Strike Force, Agent Venom. So, for those of you who haven't seen a Frosty Features before, what this is a comic book background on the tunes that you use in MSF. So, typically, I stick to the Marvel 616 canon, the main comic book storyline, but sometimes we branch out in case of Agent Venom, or I'm pretty sure almost 100% in the 616, so don't worry, you pretty little face. Let's get going! Yeah. Or let me click and nothing happens. Oop, let's back up. So, according to Scopely, one of the things we're doing now in Frosty Features is going through the description that Scopely gives of the character and rating it at the end. So, here we go. According to Scopely, this is Agent Venom. After spending his years in high school as Peter Parker's bully, Eugene Flash Thompson turned over a new leaf when he entered college. He was inspired by the heroics of Spider-Man and later enlisted in the military to help others. But while saving the life of his superior officer during battle, Flash was critically injured, resulting in the loss of his legs. He was approached by the U.S. government for Project Rebirth, a secret program sought to create super soldiers like Captain America. With Project Rebirth, Flash was bonded with the Venom symbiote, which reproduced his legs with its own biomass, along with granting him powerables comparable to Spider-Man. As Agent Venom, he has teamed up with Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and numerous other heroes to take on threats to Earth and beyond. So, little short, but nothing super crazy. Here he is, the man of the hour, Agent Venom, and his name is Eugene Flash Thompson. Eugene Flash Thompson. His first appearance in the comic books was Amazing Fantasy number 15 in 1962. He is from 1962 in Amazing Fantasy number 15. For those of you who love the Marvel Universe, who love maybe your Web Warriors or your Spider-Man team, that is also the first appearance of Peter freaking Parker. They share the same key issue, which is Amazing Fantasy number 15. Yeah, amazing. It's an amazing thing. 100%. Powers/ability. So Flash Thompson had no powers going into getting the Venom symbiote, so he has powers, the powers of the Venom symbiote. So symbiotes have a freaking list, a long list of powers. Some of them include camouflage. They have a body storage where they can kind of take things inside themselves. Agent Venom, I wanted to point that out because Agent Venom uses it a lot for extra weapons. He's a 7-8 guns kind of guy, so he stores a lot of weapons inside himself. They have molecular malleability. They can kind of change their mass into different shapes, create things, restore things, what have you. Parasitic inheritance. If somebody powered gets the Venom symbiote, part of their power gets imprinted on the Venom symbiote, which is why Venom acts so much like Spider-Man, because one of its earliest hosts is Spider-Man, and so it kind of it took a lot of what he did and developed its own version of those, including the thwipping, including the wall crawling, etc. Right? So important to remember. There is a hive mind. Not always does the Venom symbiote use or kind of tap into the hive mind, but eventually it does. So that's important. And adaptability. People with the Venom symbiote can adapt to any environment around them, no matter what the situation is, even surviving the depths of space, right? So very Darwin-esque, Darwin the character-esque powers also involved with the Venom symbiote. So a big old boost when you're bonded well with the Venom symbiote. Alright, aliases, Venom and Space Knight. Some people just call him Venom, and sometimes he acts just as Venom, not as Agent Venom. And then Space Knight, that is when he is working off of Earth. Affiliations, Project Rebirth 2.0. So Project Rebirth, there's a first kind of stab at our first stab at our Scopely description. Project Rebirth is the project in which Captain America becomes a super soldier. Project Rebirth 2.0 is a rehash of a Project Symbiote where they are trying to make super soldiers using symbiotes. So the distinction is kind of important. There's a very big difference, but it's small. He also joined the U.S. Army. That'll come up a lot coming forward. And then one of the most interesting that I find, other than that, because he's also in Savage Avengers, Secret Avengers, but also he's a part of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is pretty cool. Because he doesn't really seem like he fits in first glance, and he didn't. Who died? Uncle Ben, pretty much, and almost him. So, Flash Thompson, he was famously, in the description, he is famously Peter Parker's bully. We get to watch Tobey Maguire beat the crap out of him in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. But also, his biggest inspiration, his biggest hero is Spider-Man. So without the death of Uncle Ben, you don't have that heroic kind of flair, that heroic tendency that Flash Thompson has, because even though he's a selfish bully, whatever, he turns it around in college. He becomes friends with Peter Parker, and he aspires to do something better, which is why he joins the U.S. Army, so that he can try to help people. And while in the U.S. Army, he gets stationed in Southeast Asia, and he ends up in an attempt to save his like squad. He gets horribly injured, and he ends up at a essentially like a monastery situation, and then he gets really injured. He comes back home, and yes, eventually he loses his legs. We'll talk about that in a bit. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but he almost dies twice in the line of duty for the U.S. in the U.S. Army before he becomes Agent Venom. Background: he is a New Yorker. He's from Queens, just like Peter Parker. He has pretty much the same background. They went to high school together. The fourth host. So, Agent Venom, very famous in the Marvel Universe, comics, and otherwise. We've got our Sony-verse of movies, the Venom-verse, that's centered around Venom. We even had a brief appearance of him in the MCU. You should know that by now. Wink, wink. Venom can bond to a lot of people, but can only fully bond and stay with them for long periods of time when essentially they match up, right? Like DNA wise, blood wise, whatever. So in canon, and there's some debatable canon in here, but for the most part, 4 human hosts that are Agent Venom is the 4th host. There's more than 4 hosts overall, but 4 true hosts that truly bonded with Venom. Flash Thompson being number 4. But let's count back. Number 3, most famous version of Venom is Eddie Brock. That's the one when you see pictures of Venom. Can't say Venom. When you see pictures of Venom, when you see comic books, etc., you're going to see the Eddie Brock version of Venom. That is the most common. Number 2 being Peter Parker. Peter Parker had it before Venom or Eddie Brock, and that's how it came over. Peter Parker picked it up in Battleworld, and that's the first time you see Venom in the comics on Battleworld way back in the day, right? But who's number 1, right? I definitely I thought it was Peter Parker was the first human host. But after looking into it, there actually was there is a Deadpool and Battleworld run where Deadpool is trying to find a new look before he fights some people, and he puts Venom on and he bonds with Venom just before Peter Parker, but he decides that he doesn't want to corrupt. He recognizes that Venom is sentient, and he doesn't want to corrupt Venom with his insanity, so he takes him off and he throws him back in his cell for Peter Parker to find directly after. So yes, so technically Deadpool is the first one. There are plenty. I usually don't respond to chat, but I see somebody in chat said Matt Gargan. Matt Gargan, being the Scorpion, he does bond with Venom, but it is not a good bond, and he actually doesn't count as a full host, but he does host him. So that's a good point, Midnight. Cool. So, yes, that makes, I say this because technically Matt Gargan's before Flash Thompson, but he doesn't actually count. But he does bond with him. He's like Venom Scorpion, which is cool. Cool. 4th host, Agent Anti-Venom. So now in the comics, Venom has passed Flash Thompson, has went on to a few different people, most notably back to Eddie Brock directly after Flash. And then at a point, Flash is more or less trying to fight Eddie to get Venom to come back to him. Venom is sort of split in the idea. Venom's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and Venom's kind of split between Flash and Eddie as they're fighting, and they're kind of stuck in between. And Spider-Man has no problem with Eddie Brock, really. He does, but he doesn't. He has no problem with Flash Thompson. They're actually friends, right? But he hates the Venom symbiote. So there's a vat of anti-venom which is made to try to kill Venom, and he pours it on all three of them. And in doing so, some of the pieces that are left in Flash Thompson kind of react, and that is how anti-venom is created. I've actually talked about that before in a previous Frosty feature. Yeah, but that's how you get anti-venom. And after you see a run of anti-venom, he becomes Agent Anti-Venom. He ends up dying, come back, and currently in canon, in comics, he is Agent Anti-Venom number 2.0, because he was revived. So he's not currently Agent Venom in the comics. Relationships: Harrison and Rose Thompson. These are Flash's parents. Jesse Thompson is Flash's sister. And then, of course, you have Venom's relationships. His father being his creator, Null, and Null's symbiote. And then Venom is sort of this like mass producer of other symbiotes in canon. So some of Venom's children include, but are not limited to, Carnage, Phage, Riot, Lasher, Agony, Scream, Sleeper, etc. They're Venom's children, more or less. Notable events: becoming Venom. So, in becoming Venom, as I said, Flash Thompson, he turned a new leaf in college, decided he wanted to help people, and he became friends with Peter Parker. He then joins the U.S. Army so that he can try to make a difference. He can help people out. And so he's stationed in Southeast Asia, where he is heavily wounded. He's barely able to move, but he's kind of climbing through the territory, trying to figure out something to do. And then he stumbles into the S.H.I.E.L.D temple, which is like a more or less like a Buddhist monk type situation. And they heal him. And then after he's healed, he's super excited or whatever. And then he sees the U.S. military coming, and they accidentally bomb the temple he tries his best to save it, but he doesn't. The temple is bombed, and he is blamed for it by the S.H.I.E.L.D. So he kind of loses faith in the U.S. military, and he quits. He does not. He still has his legs at this point. He quits. He goes back to the United States. He kind of goes into depression, etc., etc. This is where he becomes the gym teacher, and so yeah. Hold on, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so as when he goes back to the United States, the S.H.I.E.L.D blame him for it, so they try to get him killed. So you see Flash kind of being protected by Spider-Man, more or less, by these assassins. But so eventually, in his dealings with, they kind of see eye to eye. He sort of gets therapy. He kind of gets built up through the S.H.I.E.L.D, and Spider-Man kind of helps him get there. But due to his affiliation with Spider-Man and, fighting various villains, etc., etc., I don't want to get too in-depth, he ends up in a coma, and he gets memory loss. He forgets that he's friends with Peter Parker, and due to this memory loss, he goes back into the U.S. Army during the war in Iraq, and he goes to Iraq, and then he gets his legs blown off. So after getting his legs blow off, we have this Project Symbiote, which then turns into... he's a Project Symbiote, which then the U.S. government's like, that's pretty interesting. Let's try to bring back Project Rebirth 2.0, and we're going to use, essentially it's like Project Symbiote, but U.S. military funded, right? Just like, very similar to Project Rebirth, the OG. So Project Rebirth 2.0, so they reach out to a guy named Carl Henriksen first, not Flash Thompson, and they try to bond him with the Venom symbiote, and that goes horribly, horribly wrong. He goes crazy and he starts trying to kill a bunch of people, and they end up having to separate Venom, and he dies. And then they look for Flash. They reach out to Flash Thompson. Flash Thompson got a Medal of Honor for him trying to save his squad in Iraq and losing his legs. So Flash automatically, he has forgotten his problem with the U.S. Army. He automatically re-enlists, and he bonds well with Venom, and using Venom to regrow his legs, and he regains his ability to walk, and eventually inherently becomes Agent Venom by hosting the Venom symbiote. So the next one I'm actually talking about, there's a lot of really cool, notable events for Agent Venom. This one I'm going to talk about is, I just think it's really cool. I think the Superior Spider-Man run is really cool, and Agent Venom, his involvement in Superior Spider-Man is actually pretty cool. So Superior Spider-Man is a situation where Otto Octavius takes over Spider-Man's body. In a situation, Agent Venom is this is post Circle 4. So the Circle 4, I talked about it in Frosty Features Red Hulk. Check it out. But Venom, the most important thing is there's a Venom Red Hulk Ghost Rider all together, and all that Venom had made a deal with the devil, and he's got a devil mark. So he drives people even more crazy than he normally has. So he still has a devil mark in this, but this is him returning after Circle 4. He comes back to New York, where he is attacked by Spider-Man and Spiderlings. And when Spider-Man, he senses that Spider-Man's going to try to kill him, so he shows him his face, and he's like, "Yo, Peter, chill. It's all good." Not knowing that it actually is Otto Octavius in Peter's body. So Otto is kind of entranced. He's really into the fact that Venom is a thing. So he's like, you know what? You need to go through, I'm gonna let you live. We're friends, right? But you need to go through some prosthesis surgery where you can get these cool like bio replacements. I'll help you out. And in doing the surgery, he steals the Venom symbiote, and he becomes, Doc Ock Spider-Man Venom, which he dubs himself as Superior Venom. So eventually Flash has to procure a suit of Iron Man armor to confront this Venom, as well as, to confront Venom, and he ends up being able to rip him apart and, get Venom back to Flash, which is pretty cool. So Superior Spider-Man's one of my favorite runs. Definitely check that out. So we are going to move on to power level. Marvel Strike Force does not really care about power level, but I do. So the way we do it on this channel, a character of a multiversal threat is somebody that can end reality not only as we know it, but as everybody else knows it. They can end all of existence and all realities all at the same time. Universal means that they can end one existence, maybe hop through a portal and end another one. Cosmic means you are a threat on a planetary scale at the smallest, and with a little bit of time, you could take out maybe a small solar system or a galaxy. I'm having a moment. Nuclear means that you, on the small end, you could take out a small town. On the high end, could take out a planetary body, but it may take you some time. Super Soldier, Captain America comes down as the standard of a super soldier. This is a person that is at peak human condition plus. You have extra abilities and things like that make you better than humans can possibly be, but just better than humans can possibly be. City means you are a highly trained person, thinking of people like the Punisher, people like Misty Knight. You are just kind of below that super soldier line with enough training and dedication you could get here. And then there's Greg. Greg is the undead Asgardian that Hela spawns in Marvel Strike Force, and he used to be much weaker than he is, but it is what it is now. And Greg, for the sake of argument, we're going to call him a normal human level. I'm more than aware that he's not. We're going to call him the Undead Asgardian to be a normal human level. And if you've got your fancy red cups from Starbucks full of hot liquid and enough determination, you or I could theoretically take out this Greg character. And in the case of Agent Venom, I put him at the Super Soldier level, but he is at the very tippy-toppy of Super Soldier. He has no feats that really show him destroying large areas at once, though he does definitely have the capability of doing so. So I really wanted to call him Super Soldier 0.5, but it's kind of difficult. So Super Soldier technically is where he's at, but he's in a really sweet spot in between that nuclear and super soldier rating. So that's kind of where he is at. So all that being said, how did Scopely do on their description? So with their description, they make it sound like Flash went into the army and lost his legs. Not really. It's a little misleading, but it's not technically wrong. Bonded with Venom symbiote, reproduces legs, granting him powers as Spider-Man. Team up with Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, threats to the Earth and beyond. Oh, and then they said, so, yeah, okay. So, there was, okay. Join the U.S. military is a little misleading, and also it's not Project Rebirth. It is Project Rebirth 2.0, which is an important distinction because Rebirth ended with Captain America originally, right? Ended. So little typos, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So, nice try, Scopely. It's not the worst description we've done on Frosty Features, and I'm sure it won't be the best, or it's not the best, it's not the worst. It was a nice attempt. Good job. Let me know what you thought in the comments. That's all we have for Agent Venom. I hope you liked it. Let me know, anything, big points of, Agent, Venom that I missed, or anything you think I got wrong. Let me know in the comments for sure. Like, comment, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything but a couple of clicks. Goodness. Also, as a reminder, I stream at the link above on Twitch on Sundays starting at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Come hang out with us. We do Frosty Features live there. We have a really good time with that. And then, also, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, my people. I hope that you all have a fantastic day and a great week and a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays situation, and you move into a great year. And most importantly, y'all, stay cool.